What's happening, everybody? You already know who this is. It's definitely your favorite chairwoman shark coming back at you once again. And instead of doing food for your thoughts, we're gonna do something a little different this time. I'm going to share my story with you guys. Not for anyone to feel sorry for me, and not to have pity from anyone. But I'm sharing my story because I want to be an example to everyone that may be going through something like this, or feel like they are not going to reach their goals, or whatever. I want to be an example that you can make it, you can do it, no matter what. I don't share my story, only people who are really, really close to me, and sometimes not even my family. Not all of them know. So I want to come clean and tell my story before 2020 comes in, before my birthday, before Christmas. I want to genuinely show everyone my light. Okay, maybe a few people, maybe like a few people know my story, but they don't know the whole thing. So I'm telling my whole story. So sit tight and let's begin. So to those that did not know, or whom don't know, I was in the military. I served 5 years. I was an E5 sergeant when I retired. Yes, retired. Yes, I'm young and I retired. I medically permanently retired from the military. And this is why I'm telling my story. So I was in Texas, and I was stationed there for 4 years, but I was only there for 2. I was supposed to be there for 4, but I was only there for 2. The first year I got in, everything was smooth, and then we had to deploy the next following year. In that unit, it was a really great unit. Now, did it have some bull crap? Yes, it had bull crap like all other units, but I have been to some really crappy units before. I have been in really crappy, behind really crappy leadership before. And even though you'll always run into that, no matter what unit you're in, it doesn't take over the overall unit. That overall unit was the best unit I had ever been a part of. And it may not be the same story for other people that was in that unit, but that was for me. I had been a part of some crappy units, but that was the best unit I had ever been in. So I was active duty, and we went overseas. My job, I was a 91 Delta. Yes, 91 Delta is a generator mechanic, electrician technician, basically. So we're not on post or on base in our units. We have to have energy somewhere so we could be able to plug things up, so we could be able to move and operate. So I was over generators, which means I had to take care of them. Now, everybody knows that a lot of this stuff don't work, but I did my job. Now, did I run into a lot of hardship? Yes, I did. But I only saw them as challenges. And I think I really feel that my upline, my NCOs, my first sergeant, they saw that drive in me, that no matter what was put my way, I kept going. And then even though I got discouraged, they showed me love. They were the type of unit that kept pushing you when they saw potential. They kept pushing you. So I really, really appreciate everyone that was a part of that unit in Fort Bliss. My first sergeant was a great first sergeant, master sergeant, sergeant major. All the NCOs was great NCOs. Now, did we have some bad ones? Yeah. But the overall leadership was good. Moving forward, we went overseas. And before you go overseas, you have to take a series of shots. These shots are to make sure that you don't come back or catch anything while over there. It's mandatory for anyone in the military that goes over there. When you're allergic to something, you have to wear it on your dog tag. It's not like the regular dog tag. It goes on to that, but it's red. The red ones just signify that you're allergic to something. So if you go down hard for whatever reason you do, they don't give you the wrong thing and accidentally kill you. I have a trait. It's called G6PD. Now, a lot of people, when they hear, they're like, what is that? It's nothing bad. G6PD is actually a trait that is found in a lot of African Americans, and it's basically your X and Y chromosome. So as females, we have X and Y, and guys have X and X. Well, it's basically saying my X chromosome is not working. It's not on. So you turn on the light, It works. Cut the light off. It don't. So it's off. It's not anything bad, but it causes my immune system to not be up to par. It causes me to have allergic reactions to a lot of things. I did not know this. I did not know the in-depth of this at all. All I knew that it was in my records, and they put it on my dog tag to all the vaccines that I could not take. I wasn't aware of any of the vaccines that I could not take because apparently there's a lot of them, but I did not know. But it was into the system when you are assigned a dog tag and you go through SRP, which is the process you have to go through before you basically mobilize or cross seas. They are all aware because it's all in your medical records. I had an incident. We took the flu shot and my roommate got sick and I fell right behind her. And in between that time, we had to take an anthrax shot. Now, I'm still not too for sure what an anthrax shot is, but I know that it has series of shots that you have to take behind. You just can't take one. And I know it's a mandatory shot that you have to take overseas. So we was all had to take the shot to go over there. And I remember going through SRP. I was asked a question and it didn't make sense to me at the time, but until after everything happened. So the question was, do you want to go overseas? And I really wanted to be a part of my unit. I really want to go overseas. I really wanted to help for that mission. Our unit was part of the last operating unit that went through Operation Endurance Freedom, OEF. And that meant a lot to me to be able to go over there and for whatever reason to be able to help my unit. It meant a lot to me because it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about any of that. It was really, to be honest, I served the military to be able to show myself I can do it, to be able to get myself out of the situations back home, to be able to leave Mississippi. Not saying it was a bad place. It's just it's really a eye opener to people that's been in Mississippi, because if you don't leave Mississippi and go outside of Mississippi and see what all the world has to offer, you'll think that things that happen in Mississippi and the things that you have to be quiet about is normal, and it's not. And I wouldn't have been able to see those things if I didn't go outside of Mississippi. So I removed myself from the situation. A lot of things that happened with my basketball scholarship, I turned to the military. So moving forward, they asked me how bad I want to go, and I told them really bad. And they tap on the system. He said, it just take a minute. I would override the system, and kept going. Now, I didn't know what he meant about override the system. I just sat there. And it's okay, yeah, you're cleared to go. You can go take this to your first sergeant. And I did. I went through a lot just to go overseas. The flu shot that we had took me down. My roommate, she got sick, then I got sick. And then my blood count was low. So it was a lot of things that was happening, but I was passing all of the tests. I went through a lot of tests, biopsy this, biopsy that, CAT scan, MRI, to see what was going on, and showed nothing, just the flu shot. So, okay. So, I got cleared to go overseas, and then we took the anthrax shot. Went overseas, and I was in school. I was passing my PT test. I was going to the gym every day, working on BLC. And then we had been over there for a few months. I had graduated BLC. I had accomplished that goal. Had my points and everything to get promoted for NCO, and was going to receive my stripes. I really wanted my first sergeant, my commander, to put my stripes on me, because I worked so hard hand to hand with them. Whatever they needed, I made it my mission to try to do the best as I can to complete it, whatever it was. And I proved that. So I'm overseas, and we're doing our missions, and I had got hurt at BOC. I hurt my shoulder a little bit, but I was instructed to go make sure it was nothing wrong with it. So I went to the TMC, which is basically sick call. It's just a hospital clinic that you go to overseas. Went there, and they wanted to do a blood test because my blood test was low before I left, and the physician that was over me, which was a captain, he knew my situation, and he knew what I went through before getting to the overseas. He knew everything I had went through for us that flu shot. So they wanted to make sure that my blood cells was still normal. So I had to go to the Marine side, and the Marines drew my blood. And the next day, I was instructed to go off post to the hospital over there. They have a really nice hospital with really good doctors, and that's when everything turned for the worst. But I still did not understand. They did a MRI and a CAT scan, and my sergeant was giving the results, so I didn't know still what I was looking at. We had been over there, almost done. We was almost done with our tour. Had a few more months to go. And the next day, I get a knock at my door and says that I had to evacuate the premises. I had to go back overseas. And it was within less than 5 hours. I was in school, so I had to email my teacher to let him know that I could not turn in any of my assignments for that week. And I did not know when I was going to be able to, but I was able to give her my orders. I had to pack up my whole room, and not only pack it up, but write it down to make sure everything was accounted for. And I did that all in 5 hours, which was tiring. But I did not understand why I was getting kicked off premises. But all I was being told that the Navy commander said I had to go because of health reasons. This made me cry. Not gonna lie, I did. I cried, and I still packed my stuff and left. Okay. That morning, I had to go to the TMZ again, and the Navy commander, she approached me with tears. You hear me? Full of tears, saying that I was strong, saying that she had never met a person like me, and that she wished me the best in everything, but wanted to make sure I was okay. Mind you, I still didn't even know what was going on. Now, I was really sad. And my first sergeant came, my commander came, and it meant a lot to me because they both gave me a coin, which I did not expect, but they showed so much emotions behind what was happening. And I don't know if they knew. I'm sure they did. I don't know if they knew what was really happening at the moment. They just knew that the Navy commander it was her, basically her post, her base, and for some medical reason, I had to leave, saying that I was in a danger to myself. But no one actually told me what was going on. So, of course, yeah, I was full of tears because I was being forced off premises. I'm not being told what is happening, and it sounded like a life and death situation. Okay? So I flew back. I was in Germany for a while at the hospitals there. Then I ended up in Washington at the hospitals there for a while, and finally made it back to the States. I did not know what was going on with me until Germany. I was in Germany for a while, and the doctors there told me why I was being medevac out and why I had to have an escort. So the reason why was because I was given the vaccine, but they did not know it was the vaccine at the time. Well, my unit didn't know, and that Germany doctor didn't know. But I was my liver was shutting down. Yeah. I was 24, and my liver was shutting down. It was at a 50% and declining, and I had a spleen at the size of 20 centimeters at the time. And before I made it back to the States, my spleen was at 22 centimeters. So that, I don't know if many of you guys know much about medical or about the body, but from a person to be healthy and go from go all the way down to a 50% working liver and spleen that is 22 centimeters, that is danger. I was not just a dangerment to myself, but people around me, but mainly to myself. So I got back overseas. I was sent to the Wounded Warriors barracks. I was supposed to stay there until, well, was what I was told. I was supposed to stay there, but had orders to go there from Washington to stay there, to make sure I got all my appointments in, to make sure that everything that I was supposed to do as far as medically attention-wise, I was getting it done. And ran into a holding unit, which was taking over the positions of our unit while I was going, that requested me to come to their unit. So I didn't stay at the Warriors Project buildings like I was supposed to, the Warrior Wounded building like I was supposed to. I was put on orders again to go to a holding unit. And this is where things went bad. Now, everybody that knows me, that I was quiet, but I spoke when I was supposed to. I was very friendly with people, and I was all about my business, okay? It didn't matter if I hurt your feelings, if I'm an NCO, if I'm telling you right. It wasn't about the feelings at the time. It was about the mission. It was about what was instructed for us to do. I was very serious about my rank, but I did understand my soldiers because I just came from that position. So I was put into this holding unit, and it was not a good holding unit. They would not let me go to my appointments. They put me on CQ back to back. When you're on CQ, you're supposed to work the whole 12-hour shift. I mean, the whole 24-hour shift, and which was 6 to 6. Yeah, or 12, but you're supposed to work the whole shift, and then the next day you get the day off, and then you come. And then if you back on it again, you back on it. But I was not getting my days off. They put me on CQ back to back. Wasn't allowing me to go to my appointments. Anytime that I did leave and go to my appointments, even though I gave them the slip, even though they knew, I was called 24/7 to come back. I was being reported as FTR. And even when I was there, doing formations in the morning time, I didn't miss not one formation, and I was coming up on the list as FTR. And of course, anything that goes on within the holding unit, such as people being FTR, because my unit was overseas, I guess this was reported. I'm not for sure, but I was really being treated wrong. There was an NCO. No, I'm not saying no names. Which my unit that could be watching this had no clue about this. But the unit I was in, the holding unit I was in, they did me wrong, and we had to go through a series of shots again. And guess what shot I had to take? You're right, anthrax. So I started to tell them about, hey, I can't take that shot. I think that shot is the reason why I'm back over here. And I was instructed from the first sergeant, still not naming no names. I was instructed from the first sergeant that if I did not take the shot, I will be held on contempt orders, basically saying going against orders, going against what the first sergeant said that we have to do, and because it was mandatory. So I took the shot again. This time, my face broke out, and it was the same print. It was a print that'd be on your arm for a minute, not long, but it's like when they give you the anthrax shot, it doesn't stay there long. The next day it's gone. But that print was on my face, all over my face. So I broke out in hive all over my face, and my eyes turned yellow. So the next morning I woke up, my eyes was yellow, puffy, and my face had broke out, and the little spots from the anthrax shot. And so I missed formation. It was like it was like it was like 10-20 minutes before PT. I went downstairs because I knew if I had called my NCO that was over me, it wasn't going to believe me. So I went downstairs and I showed the sergeant that was on CQ, and he looked at me like, go back to your room and have the rest of the day off. And it was a Friday. I'm telling him I need to go to the hospital. He said that he didn't have a car and I should go back to my room. So I went back to my room. And I called my medical friend. I'm not naming the names, but she came as soon as she could and saw that I couldn't hardly breathe. And I wasn't saying anything. I was just wheezing. And she's asking me about my face and my eyes. And I told her I think I'm having a bad reaction. She takes me to Walmart, gets me some soup, gets me some Benadryl, and told me to take the Benadryl if I wake up and I am still having the same reaction. Because for some reason, she thought, even me thought it was something I ate. But I just knew something was off because of the jaundice. She really didn't know what was going on, but she told me she think I was having jaundice, but don't know the reason why. So I took the Benadryl the next day when I woke back up, because I took like 3 or 4. My throat had opened back up, so it wasn't feeling like I couldn't breathe. My eyes had cleared up, so the jaundice had went away, but the spots was fading. So I just thought I was having a bad reaction. I told my NCO still, and he said that I looked fine, and there was no reason for me to go to the hospital. Excuse me. And then he slapped me on CQ. So I was on CQ that whole weekend. Right? So I ended up getting promoted there in a place I didn't want to be promoted at, with people that didn't want to promote me. My promotion was an invalid introduction to the NCO. To the NCO, what is the word? Basically being inducted into the NCO as an NCO. You've been inducted as an NCO. It was very improper. And they didn't have my official letter. They just read off what to say. And I was told to go get my rank that they give you when you get promoted, to go get it printed off myself. I felt just thrown to the side. So in that moment, I really got tired, and I reached out to my master sergeant. Now, my master sergeant used to be my first sergeant when I first came in, and then she got switched, and another first sergeant came, and he was so great too. And so I told her everything that I felt mentally challenged. I felt this, and I told her what was going on inside the unit. Little did I know how much my master sergeant cared about me. She told Sergeant Major, and Sergeant Major was really fond of me because of the way I carried myself, and my unit knew that as well. He flew all the way out, and him and the LTC flew out to check up on me in that unit. When they got there, I was called down from my room. And when I walked in and saw him, I was so happy, because I really just thought I was going to die at that unit. Because I didn't know nothing. I didn't know anything. I barely knew anything. And only thing I knew that my liver was shutting down. I didn't know what to look for, any signs to look for. So everything was just cloudy to me, confusing. And he instructed them what was going on. And for some reason, they said that I had some about my kidneys. And he put them on game. And he instructed everyone there that if I missed another appointment, that there was going to be some problems. And I stepped on a lot of toes with that. I was not trying to. I was really just trying to get my health and some clarification of what was going on with me. And when he left, it got worse. And right after, a couple of days later, I had an NCO to come to me. It was a staff sergeant. Still not going to name no names. She wanted me to take over the barracks. All of the barracks that was part of Echo Company, which was my company. And I am a multiple sergeant. Didn't know anything about inventory any barracks. And everybody know in the military, if you do not do thorough check on those and anything that is missing off that list, and you sign for it, it becomes your problem. And I didn't want any problems, because I already didn't know what was going on with myself. And you are able to deny. And again, I stepped on a lot of toes. Not knowingly. I didn't know. I was just really doing my job, which was to go there and figure out what was wrong with me. So they slapped me over the mobile pool. when this NCO left, they slapped me over the motor pool, and I was in charge to go to the meetings and tell them about the updates of the motor pool. Mind you, I hadn't been there for a while, so I had to go over this. The NCO that was there before me, he did not properly break everything down to me, but he did it to the best of his ability. So I read the sheet, and I didn't go into that meeting try to be anything less than I was. And I didn't go in being scared because there was a lot of LTs around me and a lot of staff sergeants that was around me. I was the only sergeant in the room. I had my soldier with me, and she was a specialist, and we was the only two there. And to be honest, when we gave our report, it was so thorough, so well spoken, that the sergeant major stopped the meeting and told the NCOs, LTs, and all the first time that was there that they should take some notes from me and my soldier. And he called down to the holding unit and told them that I did such a great job, and they gave the credit to another NCO. It didn't matter to me because I knew the truth, and my soldier knew the truth. We did a really good job, and we was put on the spot at the last minute. So after that, I knew I had to leave because out of nowhere, I was being told that I was going to be court-martialed. I was told that I was going to be, I will be found on a UCMJ, all because that I denied the position of taking over those barracks. And I told an NCO, no. I said it respectfully. No, all due respect, staff sergeant, I do not know anything about inventorying the barracks, and I do not want that responsibility on my hands because my unit is not here. Again, I stepped on some toes. So I got off post. Things happened. My name kept coming up in a lot of stuff that I had no clue about. I was being dragged through the mud, and it just seemed like everything I had worked hard for has just been crumbling down. But little did I know, my unit had a little bit of information, but they knew just about as much as I did about what was going on inside the unit. So after the sergeant major came, I was slapped on CQ back to back to back to back to back with no breaks. I got this day, the next day I'm back on. This day I'm back on. And they wasn't going to let me properly exit the military. I was getting forced out. I got medically discharged because of my liver was still being decreased. I wasn't getting any medical help, wasn't being sought on medical help because I didn't have any vehicle. And that unit did all they could to make sure that I didn't get my help, even though I was going to my appointments. So the military medically discharged me at 30%. I wasn't even making a third of what I was making as an NCO. So I was forced out the military, and for a whole year, I was mad. And I was told that I would have to seek surgery soon. Months goes down the line, and I got denied twice. And they told me at the age of 24 that I had 2 months to live. My grandma was in her transition out, and I didn't have the stomach to tell my mom, my grandma, my aunties. None of them knew that I had 2 months to live. I only told them that I was about to go through surgery and what it was for. None of them knew exactly what it was for. But I would have never got that surgery if it wasn't for this wonderful person that I met. She's wonderful, and I'm not naming any names, but I call her Lola. And she came into my life at a very difficult moment, and she instructed me to give her my number, to give her the number to my physician or my counselor, because I wasn't getting any proper help, and I was just being told I'm about to die. And she did not like that. Whatever she did, I got a second chance of life. I was able to get the surgery because I was denied surgery twice. And I was able to get the third look. I was able to get my surgery. And with that, that became more and more difficult. I'm thinking that I overcame something, and I really did. I was also battling the PTSD. They was giving me the wrong medication with the PTSD, and spiraling out of control, and I was losing my mind. And then I had to face the fact that me and her had to separate. I had a mental breakdown. I was angry, and then I had to bury my grandma. After my grandma passed, everybody, I no longer felt anger. I forgave the military. I forgave myself. And I forgave everything that happened in those years. And this was in 2018. 2019, I came in as a different person because of my grandma. My grandma's funeral moved me so well because of all the good things and all the nice things and all the spiritual connections that she had made on this world. So when I had to say goodbye to my grandma, I put my anger in the ground. I put all my hatred toward the military in the ground. And even though they was only giving me 30%, and I was still fighting, I didn't give up. I didn't give up on loving someone because they made a choice to go back to the military. I made a choice after my grandma passed that I didn't never want to have a mental breakdown again and potentially hurt somebody. So I checked myself into the mental hospital. I went through it twice. My mom was the only person that knew. We had different point of views from that, but I did it. And since I put my grandma in the ground, I have become so spiritually free, and I have become more humble than ever before, because not only did I get a second chance of life, but my grandma didn't just pass away from this earth, but she moved into my heart as a spirit. So why am I telling you guys this? I'm telling you this because now that I have fought this long fight, I am stable with my liver. My immune system is really good for a person that don't have one. I have my own businesses with an S. And every day I wake up to encourage the next person. Now, to a lot of people that used to know me, they used to be angry and this and the third. They knew me as an angry person because of all the things that I was enduring and did not share with no one. But no one knows me in the spiritual form after my grandma's passed. Now, I've showed a lot of people this, and I've showed Lola this too, and it become as a, maybe I'm faking. I'm not faking. Why? Because I have never been so free and so sure of myself and confidence in myself since my grandma passed. I hadn't even been angry. And the thing about it is things happened to me since my grandma passed, and I wish I could be angry. I started finding out more and more things about the military that I did not know. And I realized that it was only a blessing that God got me out of there alive. But I wasn't going to be able to tell my story properly if I did not spiritually see my growth. Lola forced me to do it, and God used Lola to do it. Because everybody else around me turned their back, the ones that knew, or didn't want to speak on it, didn't want to talk on it, because I was being crazy. But she didn't see me as that, and was the only person that knew exactly what I was going through. She didn't know I had 2 months to live, but she did know at some point in time that I would pass away because of my injuries. I want to share this story, and I shared this story with people all around the world. No matter what you go through, you can overcome. My light will shine because I am not the old Shar that everybody knew. I got a second chance of life, and I have 100% on the military. I would never use anyone for money, and I would never be manipulative to anybody, no matter what they think. I wouldn't do that because my grandma wouldn't do that. So I'm telling you, if you don't think that you're an example for somebody else, you're wrong. Take my life, take my journey, my experience, and my story, and motivate yourself for the better. I didn't mean to keep you guys long, but I had to tell my story. I am light, and I've had a second chance, and I am 25, will be 26 on December 31st, and I am a new person, and I have been since the 2019 when I put my old self in the ground. After surgery, I became reborn, not on the flesh, but in the spirit. People have a hard time seeing me, but I will work all 2020 and for the rest of my life to show my light that I'm not here to scam anyone, and I'm not here to trick anyone. I'm here to show my light and to show that you're worth it. You're worth all your dreams and all your desire. I want everyone to have a blessed day and use me as an example. Live to inspire. And I love you.